Howdy, my fellow Sagittarians. It's Raina here, and this is your end of March 2021 General Tarot Update. And just a couple of housekeeping things, astrological housekeeping. I'm recording this before the new moon in Pisces, another mutable sign. So we're talking about the fourth house of home and family. This is on the 13th of March at 23 degrees of Pisces. So maybe a new home, maybe some kind of new development in fourth house matters. So it could be with your family of origin, your current family, if you have one. And at the end of the month, we're having a full moon at 8 degrees of Libra. Libra is a sextile to Sag, 11th house, hopes and wishes. There could be something coming in for you that is what you've always wanted. And I believe some of you might even have this in the 10th house of career, some later degree Sages. So I'm not even going to try to specify it because I don't think it works that way 100% of the time. But in either case, this could be like your goals being reached. And the astrological new year, of course, is happening. And that is happening on March 20th and in a fellow fire sign. So this is in a really fun place, the fifth house of love and creativity. So I get the 5 of Cups. Oh my gosh. That didn't age well. No, I'm just kidding. Ooh. All's well that ends well. So basically the 3 cards on the top speak to this idea of maybe something that you thought was the end-all be-all not being all that. Because we have here, I'm going to put that to the side. We've got, this is the central theme. This is all talk about the past. We have the 10 of Cups. This is happily ever after. You have the rainbow there, and sometimes this can, a lot of times this can be a marriage situation, or just the family life seems to be really good. It's a happy ending. And then we have as a central theme here the 5 of Cups, and it's kind of a card of disappointment or even grief in some cases. So mourning the loss of something that, like a marriage that didn't work out, or I would say even if it's like career related, something that you thought was the end all be all that turned out to be a bust, or even emotionally disappointing to you, somebody who disappointed you. And as the higher message, we have the Page of Swords. Now, I call this a spy card because it can be a card of, being kind of a little bit suspicious of what somebody else is up to. If you're a Sag who has Venus in Scorpio and maybe even Mars in Scorpio, your moon sign can be anything, including your moon, and your rising sign can be anything, including Scorpio. But other signs or other like indicators in the chart, I'm not going to get into those. 8th house issues, for instance, Chiron in the 8th or something, but or the Chiron in the 7th too. People who have these kinds of things may have trust issues, and they may kind of create the very thing that they're terrified of experiencing. They call it a self-fulfilling prophecy when somebody does that. And so with the Page of Swords, if you have any of those positions, and there might even be some other ones that I'm not going to get into, that can indicate that you already are very leery of getting close to somebody. And so your defense may be to be overly suspicious, to always, give them the third degree, to look through their things, to, to basically be very, always doing things that put them off and make them less inclined to commit to you, and then you get exactly what you didn't want. But it's almost like you can't help yourself, because you feel like you have to do this to protect yourself. You feel like, I can't let my guard down, because look what happened when I let my guard down before. So I have to make sure that this person isn't cheating on me. Make sure, call them multiple times a day. Maybe even try to test them, set traps. Sagittarius as a sign isn't usually like that. Sagittarius tend to be very trusting and open. But, when you get into some of these other influences, it can act as a counter to the positive ones and be more challenging for the person. And I mean, it is what it is, but I had somebody the other day with one of the podcast audios that I put up about, I don't remember I think it was like an aspect that was kind of challenging in somebody's natal chart. And they said, how can I fix this? And see, people are always trying to fix things. And I don't believe you can fix anything, because it's almost like waving a magic wand. It's like, I don't want this. I'm going to try to, will this into being, instead of accepting that certain things are going, can happen, certain things can't. I think the Page of Swords can also be a situation of not doing due diligence, not really paying attention to signs, and maybe living in your own fantasy reality, instead of really paying attention to whatever else was going on. And this is not just for relationship issues, but even on the job. And of course, on the job situations are also, relationship issues. And another thing too that I want to say is with the Ten of Cups is that sometimes we think that these wonderful times in our life are going to just propel us into a future with no problems whatsoever. And Sag, it's almost like spiritual bypassing, this idea that, hey, I had this good fortune, I had this dream job or this dream relationship, and it turns out it wasn't enough for me. And that's just, it's not surprising to me, because it's, happiness is an inside job, and nothing on the outside can ever make up for that. So if you've been putting all of that, the onus or the burden on an outer thing, instead of like starting to cultivate an inner sense of peace, then these kinds of things are bound to happen. But I do think that for some of you, this is of your own doing to some extent, because you're almost expected. When people don't feel like they're deserving of love, they're always looking for evidence of it not happening. It's kind of like when somebody can't accept a compliment, and some people even take offense when you're trying to say something good. They read into it somehow that you are actually dissing them about something else. It's just these kinds of things happen when people don't have a true love for themselves and belief that they are deserving of all the best in life. So this is something to cultivate, and in the future to look for those red flags. If you are, I mean, it's kind of like I'm kind of contradicting myself, I know, because I'm acting like some people are too suspicious, but some people it's like two extremes, either being in la la land or too suspicious. What crosses you is represented by the Page of Pentacles. As we are in this time frame of mid to late March, I was going to say February, we have come through another Mercury retrograde, and this one was in Aquarius. So Mercury was in its own house. The third, not in its own house, was in the, Mercury was in its own house. I was thinking the sign of Aquarius, but Mercury was in its own house, and therefore it dealt with messages, or it could have dealt with messages, and the Page of Pentacles can be some kind of a thing, So maybe there was some kind of a snafu with a message that you did not receive until it was too late or something, and that created a sense of disappointment because you are thinking what could have been. You were celebrating prematurely or what have you, and you're thinking about what could have been. But the truth is that everything, I believe, happens in divine timing. So if something doesn't get sent to you, consider the possibility that you are being protected in some way. Page of Pentacles can also be that you're dealing with family matters, challenges because you have a child with a learning disability. This is the student, and this is in the challenge position. So there can be some problem with enrolling. Yes, sometimes it can even be on your end, enrolling in school, maybe because you thought that you were going to get this, that you had gotten accepted somewhere, but you can't enroll for some reason. Now, what I would say ultimately is that it might just be a timing thing, but there's two cards below it that make me think that it's more about you stepping into that Sagittarius autonomy, because we have what is coming in, and sometimes we could even look at this as the advice card, the King of Wands. The King is the highest of the court cards and the master of what it represents. So the wands or rods are connected to fire energy. The King is a masculine and fire is masculine. So it's a double masculine energy, which is yang, meaning that it is extroverted and applied to the outer world rather than the inner world. And it's about having that sense of complete autonomy to do what you want to do. So with the Five of Cups, you may have a disappointment because you're being prevented from doing something, but really it might be that you're not in the right place, and maybe that's why things are getting off to a rocky start. And sometimes what we think is such a great thing, and like the Ten of Wands toasting this great thing that's going on, can turn out to be something disappointing because it didn't live up to the hype. And it didn't live up to the hype because Sagittarians really crave autonomy big time. You're not a sign that is really interested in taking orders from anyone. Not that you have an attitude and that you wouldn't be able to do it. You just don't want to do it. There's a big difference. Sometimes you just don't want to do that kind of thing. You have your own creativity that you want to implement. And the outcome is the Ace of Wands. And so I look to that astrological new year as this catalyst for your sense of moving ahead in a fresh start, in a fresh direction. That's why I love those last two cards. The water energy can be the Pisces season. Sag is much more compatible with the Aries season, being a fellow fire energy. And I love that Ace of Wands. It's like a turning point for new beginnings. And there's expansion with this. There's creativity. You're excited about it. It's, by the way, this can also be hearing about the birth of a child. And so with the 10 of Cups, maybe this is your adult child that got married, and maybe the marriage didn't work out, but they have a child on the way. And so you're still going to be a grandparent either way. Or if this is your sibling and you're going to be an aunt or uncle. So you still get to have that new life come into the world, and you get to participate in that to some degree. So that's what I have for you, Sag. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. I mostly do natal chart readings, and I cover different territory. I have some specials that are like a deep dive reading, 2 full-length readings for a special price, and then one, the whole enchilada, which is a natal chart with transits, and a full-length tarot reading for a special price. So you can check out all my readings at the link below. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye.